All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're tackling one of history's absolute biggest military puzzles. We're looking at the Mongol Empire. You know, that seemingly invincible juggernaut that swept across Eurasia with just unprecedented speed and, frankly, terrifying brutality. But we're asking the real question here. Who actually figured out how to defeat the Mongol kingdom, and how on earth did they pull it off?
So, to set the tone, let's start with a massive number, 60,000. According to the historical records, that's how many Mongol invaders were killed at the Ravi River in India back in 1306. And that's not even counting the tens of thousands taken as captive soldiers. That single crushing defeat permanently shattered the whole myth of Mongol invincibility. It literally changed the course of history.
Here is our roadmap for today's David versus Goliath story. We're going to cover the unstoppable Mongol threat, then the Mamluks acting as the shield of Islam, Alauddin Khalji defending India, the massive role of geography, climate, and terrain, and finally, how internal division shatters unity.
Okay, Section 1, the unstoppable Mongol threat. To really grasp what it meant to beat them, we have to establish just how terrifying this expanding empire was at its peak.
Just look at the stakes here. Before their major losses, the Mongols had basically erased the entire eastern side of the Islamic Caliphate. We're talking an estimated 2 million casualties. 2 million. They devastated trade, destroyed farming, and left virtually no city or town standing. If you were a ruler back then facing down this army, an army that had already swallowed up some of the oldest, most powerful dynasties on the map, surrender honestly seemed like your only logical move. Moving to Section 2, Mamluks' Shield of Islam. So who actually had the nerve to fight back? Let's check out our first major case study in the Levant over in the modern Middle East.
Enter the Mamluks. Now, these guys are fascinating. They were elite military slaves, usually bought as youths from the Turkic steppes. Because they were totally cut off from their homelands, they morphed into this incredibly disciplined, professional standing army. And here's the kicker. They shared the exact same toughness and insane skills in mounted archery as the Mongols themselves. They basically became the ultimate shield for the Islamic world.
And they proved it at the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260. The Mamluk general Baibars delivered an absolute masterclass, totally outsmarting the Mongol commander Qutuz with a brilliant three-step plan. First, he used hidden-run tactics for hours just to provoke them. Second, a classic feigned retreat to pull the furious Mongols up into the highlands. And third, bam, a devastating ambush from concealed positions in the trees where the main Mamluk force was waiting. He used their own playbook against them.
But it almost fell apart. During the Mongols' fiercest breakout attempt, the Mamluk left wing started to crumble. Picture this. In a wildly dramatic moment, Sultan Qutuz rips off his combat helmet so his men can see his face and screams, "O Islam! O Allah, grant your servant Qutuz a victory against these Mongols." That insane burst of personal bravery rallied his troops, turned the tide, and ended with the death of Qutuz. It was the very first major halt to the Mongols' westward march.
Let's hit Section 3, Alauddin Khalji defends India. So shifting our focus to the Eastern Front, we run into the Delhi Sultanate. While the Mamluks held the West, these guys defended India against the Mongols over half a dozen times.
Alauddin Khalji really understood that old military saying, logistics win wars. He didn't just throw bodies at the invaders. He totally overhauled the economy to fund this massive defensive machine. We're talking repairing old forts, building new ones, setting up specialized arms industries, and placing highly trained, separate armies right on the frontier. It was a perfectly funded, impenetrable wall.
But Khalji was smart. He knew you can't just play defense forever. His new philosophy was fight to win and fight to live. He shifted to an aggressive offensive frontier policy. His generals actually started launching annual raids deep into Mongol territories like Kabul and Kandahar, plundering them and forcing them to pay tribute. That aggressive pivot absolutely terrified the Mongols and locked down the Indian subcontinent.
Section 4. Geography, climate, and terrain. Now, as brilliant as all those human tactics were, they had some massive help from Mother Nature.
The environmental contrast was just night and day. The Mongol war machine was powered by horses, like up to 6 horses per warrior. The steppes were perfect for that, flat, cold, and packed with tall grass for grazing. India? Complete geographical nightmare for them. Try fighting in a hot, humid, densely forested jungle, completely blocked off by the Himalayas, while wearing heavy traditional furs. The terrain itself totally neutralized their cavalry.
And okay, this next part is wild.
Recent studies suggest a volcano half a world away might have saved the day. The 1257 eruption of the Somales volcano actually triggered a short-term climate anomaly. By the summer of 1260, the Levant got incredibly warm and dry, wiping out the pasture lands. That lack of food for their horses likely forced the bulk of the Mongol army to withdraw right before the Battle of Ain Jalut. They literally had to leave just a fraction of their forces behind. Finally, Section 5, Internal Division Shatters Unity. Because the most fatal blow to the Mongol Empire didn't come from the outside, it came from their own political collapse.
He has sacked all the cities of the Muslims. With the help of God, I will call him to account for so much innocent blood. That is a stunning quote from Berke Khan, ruler of the Golden Horde and literally Genghis Khan's grandson. Berke had converted to Islam, so when he watched his own cousin, Hulagu Khan, sack Baghdad and murder the caliph, he was sickened. He put his religious solidarity above his bloodline and actually declared open war on his own cousin.
The geopolitical shockwaves of the civil war were just massive. Basically, Mongol unity was dead forever, fracturing the empire into 4 independent khanates. For the Islamic world, it meant the Mamluk Sultanate and their holy cities survived. And strategically, the Mamluks struck a genius alliance with Berke Khan, creating this huge pincer movement that permanently tied down Hulagu's troops in a miserable 2-front war in the Caucasus.
On top of all that, their political system, called tanistry, had a built-in self-destruct button. Under tanistry, any military leader or son could become the next great Khan based on merit. Sounds good, right? Well, actually, it meant that every single time a great Khan died, all the top generals had to drop their campaigns, abandon the front lines, and march thousands of miles back home just to vote for a successor. The exact system meant to keep them strong ended up killing their momentum at the worst possible times.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. The Mongols built the most devastating military machine of their time, but they didn't just fade away by accident. As we've unpacked in this explainer, it took a crazy combination of brilliant tactics from the Mamluks and Khalji, absolutely brutal geography, and explosive internal civil wars to finally break them. So what do you think? Which factor really dealt the final blow? Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and keep questioning history.